Greetings, Dr. Jeffrey Scott here. This is my Market MRI Pro update for June 26, 2025. Markets continue to march to new highs. I almost used the title Knock, Knock, Knocking on Heaven's Door or Heaven's Gate because their spiders and the composite NASDAQ are literally knocking at the door of all-time highs. MarketMRIPro@gmail.com is my email address. My Google group is Top Down Trader. Thanks again to those that joined me last night where we did another 2 hour plus marathon of going through a lot of charts that really gave me the background of what we put together in Market MRI Pro. This is for education purposes only. Anything I talk about should be taken in the spirit of education and not investment advice. The intent of the video is to demonstrate the tools of top-down analysis and how I apply them. Trading involves risk. You alone are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. I may own or intend to buy or sell any stock mentioned in this report. Trading stocks and options should be considered risky. You should always consult with your financial advisor before making trades. I am not a financial advisor. I am a medical oncologist, a cancer doctor. I have tools for multiple platforms and am an independent trader. I'm not at home. I'm in a hotel in New York without a mic, so this is the computer mic. I apologize if I sound worse than I normally do. My Google group, love to have you join, Top Down Trader. You get discounts on my tools. You get videos that I don't share anywhere else, and you get invites to my education. News and earnings. Friday's a busy day. We have the PCE complex. What else can you say? And then we'll have the final consumer sentiment. I'm not sure that'll be a big problem. On earnings, Nike beat but isn't doing much just now after hours. And it's about 5:19 Eastern time that I'm doing this video. So futures have not started the 6 o'clock session yet. And it's a judgment call to hold stocks over earnings dates. It is bad judgment to not know when your stock's earnings date is scheduled. All right. Wasn't for you to see, but I didn't talk about it. Yeah, somebody had asked me to show them my performance, and hopefully that was too fast for you to watch, but it's been a really good year. I'll leave it at that. I'm sure it's been a good year for you as well. If we look at the day, you can see the Russell outperformed, was up 1.61, closing at the top of the range. It underperformed yesterday. Q's 0.94, Diamonds 0.94, Spiders 0.79. You could see that the volatility was down 0.23, Bitcoin was down a bit, and the dollar was down 0.41. Most of the things finishing in the upper part of their daily range. Not quite to triple digits, but we increased the numbers on new high minus new lows at 12 months on the NYSE and on the NASDAQ. Up here, we could see that today energy actually outperformed communications, industrials, and materials. But most things were up considerably except for staples and real estate, things that you expect to be weak on a big rah-rah day. If you look at themes, copper, blockchain, clean tech, metals mining, solar, robots, some growth type names are the ones that led. And over here, you can see the blue bars are much bigger than the gray bars, or the green bars much bigger than the gray bars, saying that much stronger breadth when you look at sectors and industry groups. 82% of the S&P 100 were up, 65% of the NASDAQ, and 80% of the NYSE. I think you'd have to call that a very strong day in the U.S. markets. All right, so I start by looking at my market timing model. You're not going to see a change. I mean, we're bullish on both the daily spiders, Qs, diamonds, and Russell. And this is the signal bar at the bottom of each chart. So we did have a little bit of a pullback last week that we've now resolved. And if we push forward and look at the weekly charts, you will see similarly that we are in a uptrend. So as we're waiting for that, and you could see just knocking on the hold highs. Wow, what a V-shaped recovery! As fine a V that you'll ever see. I did not even know that rhymes. So daily and weekly models say be long, and I'm long. If I look at the ETFs, there's some stuff here that's interesting. I take out some of these trend lines that are no longer meaningful. We had a big run up, consolidated, and almost looks like perhaps on Monday or rather Tuesday, we gapped up and we started another move higher. This white line is the all-time high, and we are knocking on it. We are so close. When we hit it tomorrow, bet we hit it. We'll see if we close above it. Pretty darn impressive. And even though we're feel extended by the numbers, we're not. 72 is not extended. We look at the Qs, you're going to see very similar, except the big difference is the Qs themselves have already crossed over and have set all-time highs. We'll look at the IXIC, the NASDAQ in a little bit. 83% of the high jump. So, they're getting extended, but they're not at clear reversal spots. The diamonds is nowhere near extended. And they've got a lot longer way to go to get back up to their old highs. But they have broken above their recent highs, broken above the 200, and look like they want to go higher. And then the laggard has been for some time now, the Russell, and the Russell's right at knocking on the 200 day. So another strong day tomorrow, get that above the 200. This market's rocking. How far it goes, nobody knows. There's a lot of people already talking about, do we top soon? I'll play the market I get. I'm not going to pontificate about things I can't control. I'll just be prepared. If I look down here, we're down 2% on the VIX, and the dollar really dove today, it looks like. The dollar was down 0.41, I believe. Wow. If we go to commodities, again, risk is off, or risk is on because the big risk is off of that war. So risk on, not usually great for the gold and silver complex. Gold was down a little bit. Silver, which has industrial applications, maybe a little bit higher today. Both of them, I hate when I do that, too sensitive of a mouse. This is the fix. Silver today was up a little bit, 1%. Oil bouncing on the 200 after coming off with the Iran-Israel refusing. Natural gas, looks like a hammerish candle there, maybe reversal coming. It's below the 200. And look at this, the 10-year dropped 0.86%, the 30-year dropped 0.39. That's also great for stocks. If we go and we look at the buckets, we'll see the opposite of yesterday. We saw a big shift to the right, and now we're looking at 10 to 12% of stocks above their Bollinger Bands. That just shows a super strong day. It's not a signal. A signal is 30 or 40% above. If I look at the market breadth tool, I could see super strong days. Here's the NYSE. Let's look at where NYSE is for all-time highs. NYSE is still a little bit of ways, and you're going to see here that the NASDAQ on all-time close is right knocking on it, right below all-time highs. What else can I tell you about the day? Volume was about average on both. You could see we've turned up stocks above the 50, 20, and 200-day moving average on both. New high, new lows, positive on both. Advanced decline lines, really positive on both. And up-down volume, positive. And then the other thing that's interesting is we had a bango signal on the large NASDAQ Composite. And that's a very exuberant signal, strong market signal. If you think of the negative signal, which would be the baby out with the bathwater signal, the bingo, it's sort of the opposite of a bingo. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is if we look at the 13-week new high, new low, and I applied at the spiders, the big NASDAQ, the S&P 1500, and the Russell, you could see 0.89 were off the highs, 0.78, 0.90, and 0.88. So we're close to areas of, over exuberance, but I think we can still go higher. If I then want to assess my market is, wow, new highs on the horizon, market strong, I'm long until it says not to be. And my timing model, the first thing that'll happen is the daily will go to a sell, and that will tell me when it's time to start thinking about building up my cash. Right now, it's all in. If I look at the ratio charts, what do I see? These are charts comparing the ticker, which everything except for this one here are going to be the S&P 500 sectors ratio charts compared to their moving average. It's a ratio chart with a spider. Actually, not the moving averages versus the spider. And what you can see is this is bull. Technology is bullish. This is bad or weak. Staples, utilities, real estate, and healthcare. And you'd expect that as the defensive plays come out of favor. Surprisingly, discretionary is not doing well here. Communications is perking up. It's about tech. Industrial is probably in the top three as well. So that's my initial part of my top down. I jump into the JAS layout, and what's going to happen here, this has been a scan, and I look at what I call the JAS list, which is a NASDAQ, the NYSE, and the Amex, and then I want to look at everything that's above $1 and above 100,000 shares. This thing here I haven't talked much about. It says a Caruso. Matt Caruso spoke at our program, and he has a free indicator on TradingView called the Caruso Impulse Indicator. And I think it's Impulse. No, the FOMO indicator, my bad, the Caruso FOMO indicator. And what it does is he finds that when the NASDAQ new highs versus stocks above I think their 5-day moving average. Let's see what it is. Boom. Yeah, 1 week or 5-day moving average. And stocks are above their 5-day moving average. And when it gets to peaks, you get little pullbacks, even if the market overall is still staying up. So let's take a look in the top-down perspective. Let's rank by percentage move. Let's do the same thing for the industry groups. And this is not the S&P 500. It is all the stocks in the universe that I have, which is 3,700 and 3,800. So what led? Energy, communication, and industrials. Okay. What are the top? These are now the industry groups and what I've checked. So let's take the top bunch of them. I bet this is a bad one. Yeah. It must be a new ticker or one that we didn't have in the right people. Solar, textiles, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the top 10 industry groups in the top 3 sectors. So that yields us, as you can see here, 287 stocks. Let me trim these to stocks above $5 and about 500,000 shares. I'm going to hit OK, and I have 149. And then I could look at them by FM2 is 2-day momentum. Spotify. I'm on slow internet, so it's going to probably take a while. And I've now learned that I have too many indicators on my charts, and that slows things down a bit. Spotify is in a nice uptrend, little 1-day pivot pullback here. And you had 3 dots today. You had volume, breakout, momentum, good relative strength in OBV, not overly extended. 95 is the high jump, then I get nervous. AYI, Acuity Brands, and industrial stock. Don't know what they do. A bit more data. I like the pullback, breakout above the 200. Relative strength and OBV look good. I might come up into my fundamentals and see pays a minimal dividend, good earnings per share growth, forward multiples less than their growth, big surprises. Hey, flip that off, make sure it's not a takeover candidate. They made an acquisition. Wall Street likes it. That might be something that could lead to further movement. So I might be putting AYI on my focus list to look at tomorrow. And I like the breakout here on a gap and volume. Meta, I'm in, talked about it yesterday. Haven't been in it for long, but it's had a rip-roaring number of sessions here. And so you can see Meta looks like the major markets here with the breakout today. It's extended, not by the numbers, still below the all-time high. You can see relative strength looks good. OBV, let's see up here. I can't, I guess OBV might be about to break over its moving average. It's just had a long run. CRS, Carpenter Metals, I think. Let's see. Been doing this long enough. I actually use the Carpenter Technology Corporation. What a beautiful trend. Too far extended for the high jump. We changed the methodology on trend lines, so they moved. But this was a great buy back here. And look below, you see a 4-dot move with relative strength in OBV, just the type of move I talked about yesterday. Caterpillar. Consolidation up here, kind of a cup and a handle and a breakout. This one also looks interesting, not extended. So there are some really good looking stocks here. So that's how I look from a top down perspective. Later on, I'll go deeper through the list on my own. I was looking at Twillo the other day. See what it's doing. It has really broken out here. Sometimes I'll just come in and I won't look at the sectors. I'll just look at all the industry groups. And you can see, even though we look at the top industry groups and the top sectors, there's other industry groups that were doing well. Now, a lot of times I just want to look at it from a bottoms up perspective. So now I'm going to go back to this impulse list. And this gives me, well, I've got that filter on. Let's just kill my filters. 3,680 stocks. So I'll show you 2 or 3 things that I like to do. One thing I like to do is look for pullbacks in an uptrend, price over $5, volume 500,000 shares hit. Okay. I've got 567, rank them by the dots. So let's take a look. Look at 4 or 5 of them. MKC, McCormick, Spices. Let's see what consumer staples must have been earnings. Let's see. Earnings came out 626. Must have been this morning. Little big little bit of a surprise. Kind of flat growth, but I guess it must have beat what Wall Street expected. Not that exciting for me. I like growth stocks, and that's not a lot of growth. But look at this. It had a CPR signal. It had a gap volume breakup momentum with relative strength and OBV emerging. I'll be watching it. I'm not a big fan. Insight. This is a biotech. It might be in play. Off of its old highs. Healthcare has been a laggard. Biotech has been a big laggard, and it had to move up. Let's see if there's any news. New Insight CEO. Oh, I didn't know that. They're one of my customers. All right. Well, maybe they think the new CEO is going to move things. Big volume. And again, you got every signal firing, relative strength in OBV. That's what I might look at. WS. Worthington Steel. This one has a couple of things in it that I really like. Now, I don't necessarily love the pattern here. I do like the fact that it broke out of the 200. That's kind of a nice pattern there. On great volume, it has an EMS, it had gap volume breakout momentum, relative strength and OBV look good. Let's look up here. Earnings were yesterday. Big surprises on earnings and revenue, even though they were lower than prior quarter a year ago. Big surprises. That's a good thing. That might be one to look at in the steel space. All right. TIMB. And I will tell you what I was referring to as one of my favorite signals. Nice communication stock, nice uptrend, pull back to the 17 and then move off of it. Lots of dots. I like that volume. Let's look here. Did earnings come out? Nope. They pay $1 on, so they pay, it's a 5% dividend. It's $1 on a $20 stock. So nice dividend play. Earnings per share growth, 33%. Good earnings per share growth. So this is one that I might look at. I like the pattern. And lastly, let's just look at the sphere. I don't know if you've been to the Sphere in Vegas. It's amazing. The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. That's kind of interesting. It was probably the best concert experience of my life. We went and saw Kenny Chesney there a week ago. It was phenomenal. Highly recommend going to see the Sphere. I think they need to put one of these in every city. It was really was just a phenomenal experience. So cup, handle, complex cup, another cup, a handle, breakout, failed, breaking out again. Got an EMS and a CPR value breakout momentum. I think that one looks good. I don't know if they can grow this company and take it into other locales, but boy, is that Sphere interesting. So if I had all night, I'd just go down this list further and further. And I will later, but I have dinner plans tonight with a customer. So another thing I might do is clear my filters, go back in, and this time I'm going to check $5, 500,000 shares, and 2-day momentum up. And this is my go-to scan. And some of my best moves this year have been this. And what you see in 2-day momentum up is, let's look at Worthington Steel. This was the third day in a row that my momentum signal is firing. This was a beautiful chart. Okay, that was your second in a row. Of course, you can't buy it until it gapped up today, but you would have had the signal had you ran the scan at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But when I see two of these in a row and now a third, I pay attention. It just shows huge momentum is coming into the name. CYN, and this scan, all of them will have at least 2 dots. CYN looks too bizarre. I don't know what the story is there. Robotics partnership with NVIDIA. Wow. Stock was up 171,000 171%. You expect it to have some challenges. This looks like a topping tail. Something to watch when it settles down. ESTA. I don't chase things like CYN, by the way. I like Establishment Lab Holdings. It certainly has been in a downtrend. Maybe I want to, this will be activated tonight. The trend lines, if it's broken above this trend line, which I don't think it has yet, I'd be interested. I'd be looking for a break above trend line. I think that one looks like it's going to move. I come here, I got volume breakup momentum coming out of the squeeze. You can see a good volume there. Relative strength in OBV. Looks like an interesting stock. DKS, is that Dick's Sporting Goods? Yeah, it's below the 200. I can't ignore those 2 dots. OMDA, here's one I don't know. It's a new company, Amada Health. Boy, this is one that was a high flyer GCT that GigaCloud Technologies in the AI space. AI's hot again. AI's been hot, and this thing's been cold as ice. But it broke above the 200 today. It's not extended for sure. Relative strength and OBV are positive. It's had 2 momentum bars in a row. Probably worth watching. If you just look at that, it looks really interesting. But when you see the 200-day moving average on top, you know it's in a downtrend. Then AHCO. Adapt Health. Yeah, it's 3 dots in a row. It's exciting. Got to get above the 200. So how am I going to put this analysis together? I think the market is going to go higher until we get a different signal. I am in the market, pretty not all in, but I'm pretty much in. I added last week some Bank of America, Poet. I added today, although it didn't do anything. This is another technology, probably an NVIDIA derivative play when it pops up. It did have a move up, but it was up much higher during the day. And why did I take this position? Because it had the two momentum dots in it. So I gave you a bunch of stocks that look interesting. Maybe that Worthington Steel looks the best. Certainly there's some things out there. Have a great day in the market. This is a new thing. I'm doing this early. I'm doing it early because the tool updates early enough that I've got all my data. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.